What if I told you that everything around you is made of energy, and you're already controlling it, even if you don't realize it yet? Everything is energy. Your thoughts, emotions, actions, even your silence, all ripple with energy. Right now, your brain is processing millions of signals every single second. The slight pressure of your clothes against your skin, the faint hum of a distant fan, the changing tones of light in your room. But you're not aware of any of that, are you? That's because your brain filters out the unimportant to help you focus. Here's the twist. Those same filters that help you focus are also the ones keeping you stuck. Think back to the last time you tried to learn something new, maybe picking up a sport, tackling a new language, or figuring out a new skill. In the beginning, it felt awkward. Your moves were stiff, your thoughts scattered. But after a while, everything started to click. Your movements flowed. Your brain responded faster. So, what changed? Your brain rewired itself. It formed new pathways, new patterns, new energy circuits. And this is the foundation of energy control. Most people believe they need more energy to get through the day. But often, it's not about getting more. It's about using what's already there more wisely. Picture this. Your energy is like a full tank of gas, but you're driving with the parking brake on. The power is available, but it's not flowing where it should. So, how do we release that brake? By breaking down the invisible wall between your conscious and unconscious mind. That's where hidden abilities lie, waiting. And this isn't just some abstract theory. It's grounded in real neuroscience and cognitive psychology. Try this simple exercise. Close your eyes. Focus on your breath. Don't change anything, just observe. Notice the rhythm. Some breaths feel deep, others shallow. Some warm, some cool. After a minute or two, your breathing begins to shift effortlessly. What's happening? That's your brain letting go of unnecessary control. That same principle applies everywhere in your life. We live by invisible rules our minds create. But what if you could bend those rules, or even break them? Think of how a cat always lands on its feet, or how a baby learns to walk without anyone handing them a step-by-step guide. They're not overthinking, they're letting their bodies and energy do the work. But as we grow up, we lose that flow. We begin to force results, rather than allow them to unfold. We cling to mental patterns that once served us, but now limit us. Energy control means spotting those patterns, then choosing to work with them, not against them. It's like learning how to surf. You don't fight the wave, you ride it. So what happens when you learn to ride your own energy waves? Let's explore that in the next part, where you'll uncover how to shift your inner frequency and make reality reflect it back. You've just learned that energy is already flowing. Your job isn't to force it, but to ride it with clarity and control. Now let's dive deeper into how your brain shapes reality itself. Your mind is not just observing the world, it's actively constructing it. The reality you experience isn't fixed. It's filtered, shaped, and often limited by your brain's internal settings. But here's the good news. Those settings aren't permanent. You can adjust them, and doing so doesn't require years of training or expensive tools. In fact, the techniques are surprisingly simple, and they start working from day one. Imagine your mind as a camera. By default, it's set to auto mode. It decides what to focus on without asking you. But with energy control, you begin switching to manual. That means choosing your focus, adjusting your perception, and sharpening what you see, all on your own terms. This might sound abstract at first, but the outcomes are incredibly real. Top athletes use these techniques to elevate their performance. Under pressure, world-class musicians rely on them to play with laser precision. Successful entrepreneurs and leaders use them to make fast, high-stakes decisions with clarity. Why? Because these techniques tap into how the brain already works. You're not adding anything new. You're simply using what's already there in a more intentional way. Before we go any further, try this simple shift in awareness. Look around. You really look. Take in the colors, the shapes, the textures. Feel how your attention flits from one thing to another. That movement, your attention, is a tool. And soon, you'll learn how to direct it with purpose. But just like you wouldn't run a marathon without training, you can't expect to instantly master control over your mind. You have to build it step by step. Fortunately, each step reinforces the next, creating powerful change over time. In the next section, we'll begin by exploring how your subconscious filters and edits reality, and how it creates illusions that limit what you can see and do. But we won't fight these illusions. We'll simply learn how to lift the fog and clear the path. Because the more you see clearly, the more power you have to shape the world around you. Ready to begin? Let's uncover the hidden patterns of your subconscious mind. You've just seen how your attention works like a spotlight, focusing in on what matters and filtering out the rest. Now, let's look at how that mental spotlight is shaped by your beliefs and past experiences. This filtering mechanism isn't new, it's been essential to human survival for thousands of years. Our ancestors relied on it to spot predators, find food, and stay safe. And even though our modern environment has changed, the system still operates in much the same way. Here's a simple way to experience it for yourself. Close your eyes for 5 seconds. Now, ask yourself, what did you hear? Maybe a ticking clock, distant traffic, or the soft hum of electronics. These sounds were there the entire time, but your brain filtered them out until you actively chose to notice. This is how selective attention works. It acts like a spotlight in a dark room. Whatever the beam touches becomes vivid, while everything else stays hidden in the shadows. But unlike a flashlight that moves in one direction, your brain's spotlight can instantly jump between senses. One moment you're focused on a sound, the next on a sensation or a visual cue, and your brain adjusts seamlessly. What's even more fascinating is that your beliefs and personal history shape what you notice. If you believe snakes are dangerous, you'll unconsciously scan for snake-like shapes faster than someone who finds snakes fascinating. Your mind builds shortcuts based on what it thinks is important, and these shortcuts can be surprisingly powerful or misleading. For example, if you look at a banana under blue lighting, it still appears yellow. Why? Because your brain expects bananas to be yellow. It literally alters your perception to match your belief. And this happens constantly without your awareness. But here's the good news. You can train your brain to perceive more. Elite performers do it all the time. Athletes train until they can detect the slightest shift in an opponent's weight that signals a sudden move. Musicians refine their hearing to catch tiny variations in pitch or tone that the average person would miss. Professional poker players master reading micro-expressions and subtle breathing patterns that reveal a bluff. Chefs develop a palate so sensitive they can detect the smallest imbalance in seasoning. Detectives sharpen their senses to catch subtle inconsistencies in speech or movement. Even stock traders train their minds to recognize unusual patterns in the market before others catch on. What do all these people have in common? They focus their attention intentionally, and that focus expands their perception. Whatever you choose to pay attention to, you empower. Think back to when you learned how to drive. At first, every movement required full attention, pressing the pedals, turning the wheel, checking the mirrors, but with repetition, your brain automated those tasks, freeing up mental space. It learned what to prioritize, and what could run quietly in the background. So what else could you train your brain to notice if you just knew how? In the next section, we'll explore exactly how to begin rewiring your attention system, giving you the tools to notice more, respond faster, and break free from unconscious limitations. Just like how your brain learns to prioritize what to notice when driving or navigating daily life, it also learns how to tune into energy, but only if you train it to. This same principle applies directly to energy work. In the beginning, you might find it difficult to sense subtle shifts, like energy flowing or pulsing in your body. It can feel vague, even imaginary. But with repeated practice and intention, those sensations start to become more vivid, more defined. Your brain starts building new neural pathways, forming shortcuts that make recognizing energy not only possible, but natural. The trick: focused attention. When you intentionally focus, you're sending your brain a signal. This is important. Keep this. Over time, your mind adjusts. It begins to notice energy patterns that it used to ignore, like increasing the contrast on a faded photograph. The details were always present. Now you can actually see them. Let's try a quick exercise. Focus gently on your hands. Don't move them. Don't clench or stretch. Just notice them. Within a few seconds, you might begin to feel a faint tingling, warmth, or maybe a subtle pulsing sensation. Those feelings didn't just appear. They've always been there. You simply weren't tuned into them before. That's how your perception works. Your reality is built from a sliver of the information available to you at any given moment. But by learning how the system functions, you can slowly widen that sliver. This isn't about imagining things that don't exist. It's about recognizing what has always been present but overlooked. The matrix of perception is not set in stone. It shifts, bends, and evolves as you learn and practice. Every time you engage in energy work, you're essentially training your brain to decode a new layer of reality. The more you practice, the easier and more intuitive it becomes. Think of it like learning a new language. At first, all you hear is noise. Then, over time, you begin to identify individual words. Those words turn into phrases, and eventually, you catch subtle shifts in tone and meaning. The language didn't change. Your brain simply learned how to organize and interpret it. Energy work is exactly the same. The sensations, warmth, vibration, pressure, have always been a part of your sensory input. What changes is how your mind filters, sorts, and presents this information to your conscious awareness. That's why two people doing the same energy technique might report totally different experiences. Their brains are interpreting the inputs through different learned patterns. There's no right or wrong way, just different ways of perceiving. And once you understand that your brain's filters can be adjusted, you can start working with the system, not against it. So how do you begin using this insight to unlock deeper energy control? In the next part, we'll explore exactly how to use your unique perception style to build more effective energy techniques and strengthen your internal awareness. Previously, we uncovered how your brain filters and shapes your experience of reality, and how training your perception unlocks your ability to sense energy more clearly. Now, let's take that understanding a step further into the strange and fascinating world of quantum physics. As we move forward, remember this: every new technique you learn, every sensation you become aware of, becomes part of your ever-evolving perception matrix. With each experience, your brain forms new shortcuts and pathways that help you process energy more effectively. This means the more you practice, the easier energy work becomes. Instead of struggling against your brain's filters, you're now shaping them, creating a strong, supportive foundation for everything that follows. This matrix of perception isn't just helpful, it's essential. It forms the groundwork for all advanced energy work. And now, we begin to see how these patterns tie into the deeper fabric of the universe, what physicists call the quantum world. In the realm of quantum physics, the rules we take for granted simply don't apply. Imagine a coin spinning in midair. In your everyday world, it must land on either heads or tails. But in the quantum world, it can be both at the same time. Scientists call this superposition a bizarre but proven state where particles can exist in multiple forms simultaneously, only deciding once we measure them. That might sound like science fiction, but quantum theory isn't just a curiosity. It powers the technologies you use every day. The processor in your smartphone relies on quantum effects to function. GPS satellites make use of quantum calculations to pinpoint your location. Even nature uses its photosynthesis in plants, the very process that turns sunlight into life-sustaining energy, is guided by quantum processes. One of the most jaw-dropping discoveries in quantum mechanics is entanglement, the idea that two particles, once linked, remain connected no matter how far apart they are. If you influence one, the other responds instantly, even if it's on the opposite side of the universe. Albert Einstein famously called this spooky action at a distance, because it seemed to break one of his most trusted rules, that nothing moves faster than light. But the mystery deepens. Scientists have managed to bring larger objects into quantum states: tiny mirrors, metal particles, and even living bacteria. This challenges the old idea that the quantum world only applies to the microscopic. The more we explore, the more blurred the line becomes between what we consider quantum and what we call normal reality. And that leads to one of the most powerful questions in science and in your journey of energy mastery. What is reality, really? If something can exist in multiple states until we observe it, can we ever be sure what's real? What if perception isn't just passive, but actually shapes what is? As we step into the next section, we'll explore how these quantum principles allow your consciousness to influence the flow of energy, and how learning to guide your awareness may be the key to shaping reality itself. In the previous section, we questioned the very definition of reality, what it means for something to exist before we observe it. Now, we're diving deeper into what quantum physics truly tells us about existence, perception, and how it all might relate to our everyday lives. These questions about reality and possibility stretch the limits of how we think. What if the world we experience is only one version of many? Some scientists believe that quantum mechanics could one day explain the deepest mysteries of consciousness. They propose that quantum processes inside our brain cells, so small and precise, might influence how we think, feel, and become aware. Although still a hot topic for debate, this idea suggests that quantum phenomena might not just be confined to labs and particles. They may also be unfolding inside your mind right now. Interestingly, While the math behind quantum mechanics has been proven accurate over and over again, its meaning remains an open mystery. Some researchers believe in the idea of parallel universes, where every possible outcome actually plays out in a separate reality. Others argue that our very act of observing something helps shape it into existence. These are more than wild theories, they are interpretations that match perfectly with quantum equations. Yet, they paint dramatically different pictures of how the universe works. Meanwhile, quantum technology is no longer science fiction. It's already starting to change our world. Quantum computers, for example, can solve certain complex problems far faster than traditional computers ever could. Quantum cryptography promises to create communication systems so secure they're practically unbreakable. And quantum sensors are being developed to detect minute shifts in gravity, magnetic fields, and even time. One of the most mind-bending aspects of quantum physics is how deeply interconnected everything is. What looks like empty space is actually buzzing with virtual particles, flickering in and out of existence at unimaginable speeds. In the quantum view, nothing is truly separate. Every particle, every field, every bit of space is part of one vast, ever-shifting whole. Perhaps even more fascinating is the idea that we can't separate the observer from the observed. Quantum experiments suggest that what we perceive isn't just passively happening, it's being shaped, in part, by our attention and observation. Our brains gather sensory data from the world, but quantum physics suggests that our very act of looking might play a role in forming what we see. Could it be that reality is less solid and more flexible than we've always believed? These insights also shake up how we understand cause and effect. In the quantum world, events don't always follow the simple rule of first this, then that. Particles can appear to influence their own past. Time seems less like a straight line and more like something fluid and pliable. While these ideas may sound like science fiction, they are backed by decades of experimental evidence. Time after time, quantum theory passes every test scientists throw at it. So, what does this mean for you? It means the weird quantum world isn't some far-off concept. It's the very fabric of our universe, real, active, and constantly influencing everything around us. We simply don't notice it most of the time because we live on a scale too large to see it directly. And yet, the more scientists study, the more they uncover new quantum effects and ways to use them. They're learning to manipulate quantum systems with increasing precision, leading us toward technologies we once thought impossible. In the next section, we'll explore how these emerging discoveries are opening doors for personal transformation. Understanding quantum principles might help you reshape your own reality from the inside out. Earlier, we explored how quantum physics reshapes our understanding of time, space, and reality itself. Now, let's go one step further into the profound truth that your very act of observation changes what you observe. You see, the quantum world isn't confined to physics textbooks anymore. It's now influencing engineering, biology, computing, and even how we think about life itself. What we once thought of as the domain of tiny particles is revealing the fundamental nature of everything around us and within us. The more we understand quantum physics, the more we realize just how mysterious and astonishing our universe truly is, which leads us to something both subtle and powerful, the observer effect. One of the most mind-bending insights in quantum mechanics is that we cannot separate the observer from what's being observed. In other words, just by looking at something, you change it. This may sound strange at first, but it holds deep meaning, especially for how we work with energy. Think of it this way. When a child plays alone, they act freely and naturally. But as soon as they notice someone watching, their behavior shifts. They might start showing off or suddenly become shy. Their awareness of being observed changes what they do. This same principle exists at the smallest levels of reality. When scientists try to measure a quantum particle, the act of measuring actually affects the particle's state. It's like trying to determine whether a room is dark. You have to turn on a light to check, but the light itself changes the darkness. You wanted to measure, so how does this relate to energy work? When you direct your attention to an energy, the energy in your hands, you're not just observing it from a distance. You're actively shaping it. The moment you focus on that sensation, you begin to influence and even generate it. Observation isn't passive. It creates a bridge between your awareness and the energy you're sensing. That bridge is alive and responsive, and rather than being a limitation, this is a powerful tool. It means that your focused awareness can guide energy, refine your practice, and make your results more precise. If you're trying to feel warmth, tingling, or movement in your hands, just concentrating on that sensation is already the beginning of its creation. Your expectations, what you believe is possible, begin to sculpt what happens next. This opens up a fascinating question. If observation changes what we see, how do we know what's real? The answer, surprisingly, is this: everything you observe is real, just shaped by your observation. It's like a dance, where your attention and the energy are two partners moving together, each influencing the other's steps. So now, with this deeper understanding of observation, perception, and energy, we are ready to explore another profound connection: how your thoughts and beliefs act as invisible architects of your reality. Ready to uncover how the mind becomes a tool for energetic transformation. Let's continue. Just as we discovered that focused observation shapes energy, now we take it one step deeper, by recognizing that how we experience something depends just as much on us as it does on what we observe. Picture yourself watching a sunset. The colors that unfold across the sky, the emotions it stirs within you, those aren't just caused by the sunset itself. They're created by how you choose to experience it. Your mood, your memories, your thoughts in that moment, even your level of attention, all play a role in shaping what that sunset means to you. Energy work operates the same way. When you focus your awareness on peaceful energy, you begin to create that peace. If you seek strength, your focused intention brings strength forward. Your observation becomes a lens that both filters and amplifies what you experience. But there's more to it than just paying attention. The observer effect teaches us something deeper: responsibility. Since your attention influences what you observe, it's important to become clear and intentional about your focus. What you give attention to becomes stronger. This doesn't mean you're inventing false sensations. It means you're stepping into a more active role in shaping your experience. You're not just witnessing reality, you're participating in it. When you engage with energy, you're both the observer and part of the observed. It's like being both the photographer and a part of the photograph. Your perspective becomes embedded in the image you're capturing. Let's bring this idea down to practice. The next time you sense energy, perhaps a tingling in your palms or warmth in your chest, notice how your expectations shape that feeling. Are you expecting movement, stillness, heat? Your brain and body often respond in line with what you're tuned in to notice. This isn't a flaw. It's part of how perception works. And if you're aware of it, you can work with it to create more reliable results. The observer effect reminds us that pure objectivity doesn't really exist. Every measurement, every sensation, every moment of attention is influenced by you. That can feel strange at first, especially for beginners in energy practice. You might wonder, how can I trust what I'm feeling if I might be shaping it? But here's the answer. The results are what matter most. If your energy work helps you feel more centered, more vibrant, more alive, then it's working. It doesn't have to match a rigid definition of what's real. Think of it like learning to ride a bike. In the beginning, you might worry if you're doing it correctly. But once you're gliding forward, balanced and in control, the real success is in motion itself, not in perfection. Energy work is no different. Focus on outcomes. Notice what changes for the better. Let that be your guide. Because the observer effect doesn't limit you, it empowers you to step into a more honest, creative, and effective relationship with the energy all around you. And now that we've uncovered this powerful truth, it's time to take it further into how emotions shape energy flow, and how you can turn your inner world into a powerful engine for transformation, ready to unlock that next level. Let's keep going. In the last section, we discovered that our attention doesn't just witness energy, it shapes it. With this awareness, we can finally stop resisting our natural influence and begin using it with greater purpose. Understanding this puts a powerful tool in your hands. Like any tool, attention becomes more effective the better you understand how it works. Your focus isn't passive, it creates change. Every time you observe something with intention, you shift it. You shift yourself. This simple truth, once understood, can guide your practice and dramatically enhance your results. And with that foundation, it's time to go deeper. We're now stepping into a new dimension of awareness, one where old patterns dissolve and new possibilities emerge. The illusion that the observer and the observed are separate is about to fall apart, revealing an even more profound truth about energy. Most of us were taught to think of energy like water in a pipe, something that moves from one place to another. We imagine it like electricity flowing through wires, or heat rising off a stovetop. It's a simple story. It fits our everyday experiences. But in truth, that story only scratches the surface. Let's take something familiar. Turning on a light. You flip the switch and the bulb glows. It feels like electricity is traveling from a power plant through cables and into your lamp. That's the explanation we've all accepted, but it's not the full reality. That process is not really about energy flowing in the way we imagine. It's about something much more subtle and profound. The truth is, energy doesn't move from place to place because it's already present everywhere. Energy isn't delivered like a package, it's disturbed. When a power plant generates electricity, it doesn't send power to your home like water through a hose. It triggers a ripple, a change in the energy field that already exists, all around us. That ripple continues, cascading through the system, until it reaches your light bulb and causes it to glow. This may seem like a technical detail, but it changes everything. If energy doesn't move, then what we call energy transfer is really just a shift, a transformation in what's already there. Energy isn't something distant. It's something here, now, everywhere. Think about heat. We say heat rises, but that's just a metaphor. What actually happens is energy spreads out. It moves toward balance. When you feel warmth from a hot surface, you're not feeling heat traveling toward you. You're experiencing a change in your own energy state, triggered by the surrounding environment. This same principle applies to every kind of energy interaction. Light, sound, pressure, emotion, all of it is part of a continuous field that responds, shifts, and transforms based on the patterns you tune into. And now, knowing that energy is already everywhere, what would it mean to work with it directly? What if we stopped trying to send or pull energy and instead learned to resonate with it? That's the next piece of the puzzle. Let's explore how resonance, not force, is the secret to true energy mastery. Earlier, we uncovered a powerful truth. Energy isn't something that moves around like a package. It's already everywhere, constantly shifting and changing state. Now, let's dig even deeper into how this understanding reshapes the way we see and interact with everything. Take sound, for example. It's easy to imagine sound as something traveling through the air, but that's not quite right. What we're really hearing is a pattern. Pressure waves moving through an existing energy field. The air itself doesn't carry sound like a train carries passengers. It's the vibration of energy within the air that creates the sound we perceive. Light works in a similar way. It's not tiny particles shooting from the sun to your eyes. It's a ripple, a fluctuation in the electromagnetic field that already fills all space. Light is a pattern in the fabric of reality, not a stream of stuff and electricity. It's not a flow of electrons running down a copper wire like marbles in a tube. Instead, it's a wave of energy moving through the field around the wire. The electrons barely move, yet the energy shift travels fast and powerfully, even gravity. Something we often think of as a force pulling objects toward each other isn't a pulling force at all. It's the result of space-time curving, an energetic distortion that causes things to move toward balance. Like water flowing downhill, it's not the water pushing itself forward. It's the difference in energy between high and low that drives the movement. Chemical reactions follow the same rule. They aren't magic or mystery. They're energy rebalancing itself within molecules, rearranging bonds to find equilibrium. Everywhere you look, energy isn't moving through space. It is space shaping, adjusting, and reconfiguring itself in endless ways. This new lens transforms how we approach energy work. Instead of imagining ourselves pushing energy from point A to point B, like buckets of water, we start thinking more like engineers of flow, like opening or closing gates on a dam to let energy move where it naturally wants to go. We stop resisting and start guiding. Even the observer effect begins to make more sense. We aren't just outside observers looking in. We're inside the system. We are of the energy field, not separate from it. When we focus on energy, when we interact with it, we are participating in a process where one part of the field influences another. It's all interconnected, and this isn't just theory. It has practical, real-world applications. Solar panels become more effective when designed to work with energy state changes, rather than simply trying to catch sunlight. Batteries can last longer when we manage energy balance, instead of thinking of them like storage containers. Even machines operate more efficiently when we align their function with energy's natural tendencies, instead of forcing it to behave how we expect. But breaking away from the old way of seeing things isn't easy. We've been taught to believe in movement, in force, in separation. Those ideas are comforting because they're familiar, but they're illusions. And once you begin to truly see energy as a unified field, flowing through everything, including you, There's no going back. So the next time you see sunlight dancing on a wall, or feel warmth rising from a cup of tea, try asking yourself, what is really moving here? Or is it just energy already present, shifting from one beautiful form into another? Up next, we'll take this awareness even further, exploring how to resonate with energy instead of just observing it. Let's learn how to match our inner frequency with the world around us. Previously, we saw how energy isn't really moving from place to place. It's simply changing states within a unified, interconnected field. That shift in understanding opens the door to a whole new way of seeing and working with the world around us. Now, try to go one step further. Don't just watch things appear to move or interact. Look beyond what your eyes tell you. Instead of seeing separate objects bumping into each other, begin to sense that they're simply different expressions of the same energy system, just different nodes in one vast field influencing one another. This subtle but powerful change in perspective gives you access to entirely new ways of using energy. You're no longer stuck trying to push or pull energy like a weightlifter struggling against resistance. Instead, you start thinking like an artist or an architect, someone who creates the right environment for transformation to happen naturally. You stop forcing energy to move and instead shape the conditions that allow energy to shift itself. For too long, we've been trapped in the illusion that energy moves between separate things, like one person handing a ball to another. That way of thinking is what's been limiting us. Once you let that illusion go, you start working with energy the way it truly is, fluid, shared, and constantly shifting within a single living field that includes you. This isn't just a mental exercise. It's the real key to unlocking more effective and intuitive ways to work with energy. And here's where it gets even more exciting. Your brain is built to adapt to new realities. Scientists call this neuroplasticity. It means your mind is always changing, always rewiring itself based on what you experience and believe. Every time you try something new, your brain creates new pathways. These new paths can replace the old ones that used to lead you straight into self-doubt, fear, or energy blockages. Think of your comfort zone not as a prison, but as a starting point. Each time you take a step beyond it, the walls start to dissolve. Things that once felt unreachable begin to feel possible, even natural. But be careful, your mind can be sneaky. It may whisper, "That was just luck after a success," or "This is too hard," when things get uncomfortable. These aren't truths. They're just echoes, remnants of the old mindset that built the walls in the first place. Look at children when they play. They become astronauts, superheroes, chefs, and dragons, all without a second thought. They don't question their abilities. They just step into their imagination. That same boundless potential still lives inside you. It hasn't gone away. It's simply hiding behind years of conditioning, fear, and doubt. Even your senses filter the world based on what you believe is possible. If you think something can't be done, your brain is more likely to overlook the exact opportunity that could make it happen. It's like walking around with sunglasses on indoors and wondering why everything seems dim. You have to take them off to see clearly. That's what it means to break free. And yes, it takes practice, but you can start right now. Begin by noticing how quickly you say no to new possibilities. Pause and ask yourself, is this really true? Or is it just an old habit speaking? Up next, we'll explore how this awareness ties directly into energy mastery and how challenging old beliefs unlocks new forms of power within you. Let's keep going. The mental walls we build around ourselves don't collapse in a single blow, but each time you challenge a belief, stretch your comfort zone, or try something unfamiliar, those walls begin to crack. And the more you lean into that discomfort, the more those cracks widen. You might not realize it yet, but your true limits are far beyond what your thoughts allow you to see. Think about someone you admire, someone who achieved something that once seemed impossible. What separated them from everyone else? They didn't wait for permission. They stared down the same internal barriers you face and chose to keep going anyway. Those barriers, those so-called prison guards, are simply thoughts, whispers of doubt, echoes of fear, and habits formed long ago. They feel powerful, but you hold the master key. And that key, it's the ability to choose a different response. A new thought, a new direction. It's the courage to rewrite the story you've been handed. This isn't about toxic positivity, or pretending everything's fine. It's about clarity, seeing the world as it truly is, not as your fear distorts it. So start asking, what might I be missing? What possibilities are hiding just outside my habitual point of view? Remember this, the walls of your perception prison are thinner than they seem. They're not steel and stone. They're made of beliefs, patterns, and assumptions, fragile as paper when met with curiosity and courage. Every brave question, every risk, every time you challenge the thought, I can't, you're tearing through those mental constraints, and on the other side, a world more expansive than you ever imagined. It's not some faraway dream. The door is already open. The only thing left is to walk through it. And this leads us to something even stranger, something that may reshape the way you view energy forever. Imagine standing in front of a mirror, not just your bathroom mirror, but a quantum mirror, a reflection unlike anything you've ever seen. In it, you don't just see yourself. You see energy in motion, thousands of possible versions of reality playing out all at once. One reflection shows waves of heat rising off your skin in glowing red. Another shows bursts of blue sparks pulsing along your nerves. Another reveals your atoms dancing in quiet rhythms. It's not fantasy, it's physics. This quantum mirror reveals not just what is, but what could be. Each movement you make, each breath, each blink causes ripples in the energetic field. The mirror displays them all. The potential paths, the unfolding possibilities, the branches of cause and effect spiraling into the future. But the most fascinating part, this mirror isn't just showing, it's responding. And in the next section, we'll explore what happens when you realize that this mirror is not outside of you, it is you. Let's keep going. The idea that simply observing energy can change it might seem strange at first, but it's a concept we've already begun to explore through the quantum mirror. Now, let's look closer at what that really means. Scientists discovered something incredible when studying subatomic particles. The mere act of watching them altered their behavior. Imagine throwing a ball across a room. In everyday life, you can predict where it will land based on how you throw it. But in the quantum world, that same ball could end up in multiple places, all at once. And the moment you try to observe it, it snaps into just one of those possibilities. It's as if your attention forced it to choose. This is the heart of the quantum mirror. We're not just looking at energy from the outside. We're part of it. Every time we observe, measure, or try to control energy, we change it. It's like reaching out to grab a cloud of smoke. Your hand stirs the air, reshaping the very thing you're trying to hold. That's why sometimes energy work doesn't go the way we plan. We're not puppet masters pulling strings from outside the system. We are in the system, reflections within the mirror, influencing and being influenced at the same time. Some experienced energy workers have begun embracing this idea. Instead of resisting it or trying to dominate the flow, they've learned to collaborate with it. They understand that control doesn't always come from force. Sometimes the best way to guide energy is to step back, to allow it to follow its natural path, like water finding its way down a mountain. And the mirror reveals more than just movement. It teaches us something profound about time. In its shimmering reflections, energy doesn't move in a single straight line. It ripples outward in all directions, connecting past, present, and future in a web of influence. Time is no longer an arrow. It's a pattern, a dance. This changes how we work with energy. Instead of trying to bend it to our will, we can learn to read these patterns. We begin to understand where a small touch might cause a wave, like tapping the exact point on a crystal glass to make it sing. Subtle input, big result. But perhaps the most surprising lesson from the mirror comes when we look into it, expecting chaos, and instead see harmony. Again and again, similar structures appear. Fractals, repeating shapes. Tree branches, mimicking their own patterns at different scales. Clouds forming familiar swirls across the sky. These repeating images remind us that even when life feels random, there might be something deeper at play. Hidden beneath the apparent messiances of energy is an elegant kind of order, a silent language written into the universe itself. And in the next section, we'll begin to explore that language, the patterns, symbols, and rhythms that can help you tune into energy more deeply than ever before. Let's step further into the mirror. Just as the quantum mirror revealed how observation intertwines us with energy, it also opens our eyes to a deeper truth. We are never separate from the dance. We are always part of it. These aren't rigid rules like traffic laws that must be obeyed, but rather fluid principles, the kind that guide birds flying in formation or waves breaking along a beach. The quantum mirror isn't a physical object you can purchase or build. It's a perspective, a way of seeing your relationship with energy, your place within the larger field of existence. Every time you attempt to measure, control, or shift energy, you are effectively gazing into this mirror. And what stares back is more than just patterns of motion or streams of force. It's you, deeply connected to everything else through an endless web of cause and effect. This awareness rewires how we think about energy, work. No longer do we see energy as something outside of us, something separate that we must manipulate. Instead, we begin to see ourselves as part of the very current we once thought we were steering. It's like being a leaf carried by a river. You may not control the flow entirely, but you can adjust your angle, catch the right current, and influence your direction. So, the next time you engage with energy, pause for a moment. Picture the quantum mirror. Notice the branching pathways unfolding with every breath and decision. Feel how your attention shapes what unfolds, not from the outside, but from within. You aren't just observing the dance of energy. You're a dancer in it. And this principle doesn't only apply to subatomic particles or spiritual practice. It shapes the most ordinary moments of our lives in extraordinary ways. Picture a child playing alone, spinning, leaping, muttering stories under their breath. They move with freedom, unaware of being watched. But the moment they see you looking, everything changes. Their movement stiffens. They might grin and show off, or suddenly withdraw. Your observation has altered their experience. Now bring that idea inward. the same shift happens within your own mind. Think about how your body feels right now. The moment you focus on a headache, the sensation seems to shift. Tune into your breath, and it subtly changes. Start thinking about how you walk, and suddenly your steps feel awkward or forced. Even scientists noticed this when studying the tiniest particles. When they tried to measure a particle's position, its speed would change. Try to measure its speed, and its position became uncertain. You could never know both at the same time. The act of observing itself changed what was being observed. And it's not just physics, it's the nature of awareness. Imagine being deep in anger. In that moment, you are the anger. But the second you think, I am feeling angry, you've taken a step outside of it. The emotion hasn't vanished, but something important has changed. Your relationship to it, and that small shift, the space between feeling and noticing, is where transformation begins. In the next section, we'll explore how to work with this space consciously, using awareness as a tool to reshape how we respond, feel, and grow, ready to step into it. As we just saw, the simple act of noticing, of stepping back and observing, creates space between reaction and response. And in that space, something powerful can begin to change. When we stop identifying completely with our thoughts and emotions, we open a door. A new possibility appears, one that allows us to witness our own inner world, rather than be swept away by it. By becoming aware of how we react, how we think, and how we feel, we create a small but vital gap. In that gap lies the power to choose differently. Think about worry for a moment. It often begins quietly, like a single drop of water. But before long, it builds into a stream, one fearful thought linking to the next, until you're swept into a flood of anxiety. Yet, if you can catch yourself just as the pattern begins, even for a split second, you can pause. That one moment of awareness breaks the chain. You interrupt the automatic loop, and suddenly, you're no longer a prisoner to it. The same principle applies to physical tension. Many of us go through our day with tight shoulders, clenched jaws, or furrowed brows, completely unaware. But as soon as we notice it, just notice our bodies begin to relax. Awareness becomes the remedy. Still, there's a limitation. Just like in the quantum world, where observing one property makes others less clear, our attention has limits. We can't notice everything at once, but that's okay. Like adjusting the focus of a camera, we can shift our awareness intentionally, depending on what matters most in that moment. So here comes the practical question. What should we choose to observe? That answer depends on what we want to change or understand. If we want to break a habit, we focus on its triggers. If we want to master a skill, we observe how we practice. If we want to build better relationships, we pay attention to how we speak, how we listen, and how we react to others. The most important part, we observe without judgment. Like a curious scientist gathering data, we look at what is, not what we wish it were. This neutral, open awareness, free from blame or criticism, is what allows change to unfold naturally. Sometimes, change is quiet, a shift in posture, a breath taken before speaking, a slight softening of the jaw. Other times, it's transformative, a total shift in behavior, a new way of seeing. But no matter the scale, every change begins the same way, with simple, mindful observation. And so, we return to where we began. The act of watching changes what we see. But now, we're watching with purpose. With awareness sharpened like a tool, we begin to direct our focus in ways that foster growth and healing. The observer effect isn't just a strange feature of physics or an abstract mental trick. It's a deeply practical method we can use every day. So how do we begin to apply this more intentionally in daily life? In the next section, we'll explore simple practices that help sharpen our awareness and make observation a natural part of who we are. Let's take the next step.